Welcome back to the deep dive. We have a really fascinating session lined up for you today.
We really do.
We are looking at the world not through the lens of, politics or technology, but through the lens of pure survival.
That's right. We are going back to the absolute bedrock of the economy. I mean, we are stripping away the stock markets, the skyscrapers, and all the AI algorithms to look at how human beings actually, sustain themselves.
How they extract value directly from the earth.
Directly from the earth.
But before we reveal the specific chapter or, get into the weeds, I have a little riddle for you.
Oh, okay. I'm ready.
We've all heard of white-collar workers.
Mm-hmm.
The suits, the offices, the air conditioning, and we all know blue-collar workers industry, manual labor, mechanics.
Standard stuff, yes.
But have you ever heard of a red-collar worker?
A red-collar worker. That is a vibrant term. And for everyone listening, it's not about a specific fashion trend or some kind of uniform policy.
No, definitely not. Any guesses? If you are stumped, here's a little hint for you. Think outdoors. Think dirt, sun, rain, and a really direct connection to the elements.
Okay, I think I've got it. It has to refer to people engaged in primary activities.
Go on.
So we're talking agriculture, hunting, fishing, forestry. And they get that red-collar designation specifically because of the outdoor nature of their work.
That's it.
They are out there in the heat, in the elements, engaging physically with the land.
Boom, there it is. And that right there is our mission for today. We are doing a comprehensive, a really line-by-line deep dive into NCERT Class 12, Human Geography, Chapter 5, Primary Activities.
And this chapter is, look, it's the bread and butter of the UPSC syllabus. It's absolutely foundational.
Why do you say foundational?
Well, because if you don't understand this, you can't understand trade, you can't understand development, and you certainly can't understand the economic geography of India or any other country for that matter.
Precisely. And I want to set the context for our listeners right now. This content is curated, specifically curated, for the Simplified UPSC by PPP YouTube channel.
That's right.
So if you are a serious aspirant or even just someone who wants to understand how the world actually works, you are in exactly the right place.
And our strategy today is all about retention. We aren't just skimming the surface. We are going deep so that these concepts, the difference between subsistence and commercial, the names of the specific tribes, the mining methods, we want them to stick in your brain.
I want them to be second nature when you're in that exam hall.
Exactly.
So here is our humble ask. If you find value in this deep dive, if this helps you crack a question or maybe just understand your morning cup of coffee a little better,
which it will,
then please subscribe to the Simplified UPSC by PPP channel. It really helps the algorithm find other learners just like you.
And look, if you are capable, if you're in a position to do so, supporting us on Patreon helps keep this super useful content coming. It takes a village and a really dedicated team to produce these deep dives.
It really does. So a massive, massive shout out to all our existing supporters who make this possible. We see you and we appreciate you.
We absolutely do.
And also, don't forget to like this video and leave a comment. We read them all, and they genuinely help us improve.
They do.
Now, resources. I know you're thinking about the notes.
Always.
The free notes. With practice previous year questions, we call them PYQs, they are available on the public Telegram channel. The link is in the description.
But what about for the power users? The ones who want to save time and really streamline their revision?
For the power users. If you want access to all the videos in this series all at once, plus the organized premium notes.
And what's in the premium notes?
I'm talking detailed summaries, extra PYQs, and even model mains answers. You need to join the private Telegram library.
And how do they do that?
Just DM on the public channel to get access. I'm telling you, it's a total game changer for revision.
Okay, I think housekeeping is done. Let's get into the dirt.
Let's do it. Let's start with the big definitions. We're talking about economic activities. So simply put, these are human activities that generate income.
Right. And economists generally group these into four main sectors. You have primary, secondary, tertiary, and then quaternary.
It's like a hierarchy of complexity, right?
Exactly. It moves from direct extraction to processing, then to services, and finally to knowledge.
Today, our laser focus is on the first one, the primary sector. What exactly defines primary? What's the key word?
Direct dependence. That is the key phrase you need to remember. Primary activities are directly dependent on the environment.
So you're not changing anything yet?
Not really. You are utilizing the Earth's resources exactly as they are found in nature. So land, water, vegetation, building materials, minerals, you're taking what's there.
So we aren't processing things. We aren't turning iron ore into steel or wheat into bread. Not yet.
Correct. That's secondary. Here, we are just getting the iron and the wheat. We are extracting or harvesting.
And the scope of this chapter covers, what, a whole range of these?
It does. It covers hunting and gathering, all the pastoral activities, fishing, forestry, agriculture in all its forms, and of course, mining and quarrying.
The oldest professions in the world, literally. And that is where we have to start. Section 1. Hunting and gathering.
Yeah, it doesn't get more primitive or more fundamental than this.
Mm-hmm.
Historically, this was the only way humans sustained themselves.
Before cities, before farms.
We were wanderers.
Yeah.
We followed the food.
It relied on 2 pillars, right? The text is very clear on this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pillar 1, animal hunting, and Pillar 2, plant gathering. Pretty straightforward.
And when we say gathering, we aren't talking about, browsing the produce aisle at the supermarket.
No, not at all. We are talking about utilizing your immediate environment, gathering edible plants, roots, nuts, berries from the forest right in your vicinity. It's about intimate knowledge of your local ecosystem.
The source material highlights some really specific characteristics of gathering that are important for the exam. It mentions this is usually practiced in regions with harsh climatic conditions.
Yes, and that's not a coincidence. It's practiced in places where growing food, settled agriculture, is either difficult or outright impossible with primitive technology.
So it's a survival strategy for extreme environments.
Precisely. And it involves what the text calls primitive societies. And economically, it's characterized by 2 lows: low capital and low tech.
Meaning you don't need to get a loan from the World Bank to start gathering berries.
Exactly. The capital investment is tiny. Your tools are what you can find or make easily: stones, sticks, maybe a basic basket. And the yield, also very low.
What does low yield mean in this context?
It means there is practically no surplus. You gather what you and your immediate group will eat for the day, maybe the next. You aren't stockpiling for the winter or for trade.
You eat what you gather, and you gather what you eat.
That's the cycle.
Okay, let's look at the map then. Geographically, where is this happening? The text says gathering is concentrated in 2 specific belts. We have the high latitude zones and the low latitude zones.
Right, let's visualize the globe for a second. The high latitude zones are way up north. We're talking about northern Canada, northern Eurasia, think Siberia, and then if you go to the southern hemisphere, a place like southern Chile.
It's so cold. Harsh. Places with permafrost.
Exactly. Very short growing seasons, if any. Then you flip to the other extreme, the low latitude zones. This is the tropics.
Just the Amazon basin?
The Amazon basin, tropical Africa, the northern fringe of Australia, and the interiors of Southeast Asia.
So either really, really cold or really, really hot and humid with dense jungle, places where mainstream agriculture struggles to get a foothold?
Exactly. They are environments of last resort for agriculture, but they can be a paradise for a skilled gatherer who knows what to look for.
But here's where it gets interesting, and I think this is a key insight from the chapter. You might think gathering is just a thing of the past, a relic.
Right, something you see in a museum.
But the sources point out that modern market integration is actually changing this ancient practice.
How so?
Even these isolated gatherer communities are being touched by global trade. Some of them are now processing raw materials for the market.
So they're not just eating the roots themselves anymore.
Right. They are gathering leaves, bark, medicinal plants, gums, resins, and they're selling them to traders who then take them into the global supply chain.
The text gives a specific example of this that I think is brilliant.
Chicle.
Ah, yes.
Chicle. I love this example.
It's a milky juice, a latex, that's extracted from the zapote tree, which grows in Central America.
And what do we, in the modern world, use it for?
Chewing gum. That's the original base for chewing gum. That gum you might be chewing right now.
Yeah.
Its ancestor, and for some high-end natural gums, still the source, was gathered from a tree in the tropics by someone practicing this ancient skill.
That is wild. It's a direct link. A gatherer in the Amazon or Central America might be the very first step in a supply chain that ends with a pack of gum being sold in a convenience store in Tokyo or London.
It's the hidden geography of everyday products.
Yeah.
But there is a threat to this way of life, and it's a big one.
Synthetics.
Synthetics, the lab versus the forest.
It's the problem.
Well, synthetic products are now replacing many of these natural gathered items. Think about synthetic rubber replacing wild rubber.
And why is that? Cheaper.
It's almost always cheaper to produce at scale. And crucially, it has consistent quality. You don't have to worry about a bad harvest or finding a specific tree in the jungle.
So the market for things like wild rubber or certain gathered dyes, it shrinks as technology advances.
It shrinks dramatically. It's the classic struggle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Industrial efficiency versus natural variance.
It really is. Okay, but let's move from just taking what nature gives us to actually trying to manage the resource a bit more. This takes us to our second big topic, Section 2, pastoralism.
This is a huge evolutionary step for humanity.
Yeah.
I mean, humans eventually realized that hunting alone was, well, it was unsustainable.
What do you mean by that?
It's a zero-sum game. If you kill all the animals in your local area, you starve. There's no tomorrow.
All right, so we had to move from hunting to domestication. We started keeping the animals alive and with us to use their products over time. Milk, wool, transport.
Exactly. And here is where the UPSC aspirants really need to pay close attention. The chapter and the exam requires you to clearly differentiate between the two major types of pastoralism.
Yeah, and those are...
Nomadic herding and commercial livestock rearing.
Okay, on the surface, these sound kind of similar. It's just people with animals, right?
They sound similar, but they are worlds apart, economically, socially, and geographically. This is a favorite area for exam questions. You absolutely need to know the difference. Cold.
All right, let's break them down then. Let's start with nomadic herding, which is also called pastoral nomadism.
Okay, the key phrase to associate with this is primitive subsistence. That is his category.
Primitive subsistence.
The herder relies on their animals for literally everything. I'm not just talking about income. I mean their entire existence.
So let's tick the boxes. Food,
Meat and milk from the herd, maybe blood in some cultures,
clothing.
hides, leather, and wool.
What about shelter?
Their tents, their yurts, are often made of animal skin or felted wool.
And tools.
Bones and horns for various implements, and of course transport. The animals are the economy, the grocery store, and the moving van, all rolled into one.
And the key feature, it's in the name, nomadic. Movement.
Yes, but, and this is a crucial point, it's not random wandering. They don't just wake up and say, let's go left today.
It's a calculated migration.
It's a highly calculated migration. They move with their livestock based on the quality of pastures and the availability of water. They have defined territories, and they know the terrain intimately.
And the animals themselves vary by region, right? You're not going to see camels in the Arctic.
It's highly regional and adapted to the environment. In tropical Africa, for example, cattle are the most important animals. They represent wealth.
And in the deserts.
In the Sahara and the great Asiatic deserts, it's sheep, goats, and of course, camels. Animals that are incredibly resilient and can survive on very little water.
Then you go up into the mountains.
Right. In the high plateaus of Tibet and the Andes, you find yaks and llamas, hardy animals built for altitude. And way up in the Arctic and subarctic regions, it's the reindeer.
So where are the core regions for this lifestyle? The text identifies three main ones.
Yes. First, you have this massive, massive belt that starts on the Atlantic shores of North Africa, goes all the way across the Arabian Peninsula, through Central Asia to Mongolia and Central China.
Wow, that's a huge swath of land.
It is. It's essentially the Great Dry Belt of the world. The second region is the tundra region of Eurasia. This is where you find the reindeer herders, like the Sami people.
And the third?
And third, there are smaller, more isolated pockets in Southwest Africa and on the island of Madagascar.
There is a term here that always seems to pop up in geography quizzes and exams. Transhumance. What is that?
Transhumance, yes. This is a specific type of nomadic movement. It's the seasonal migration, and it's specifically vertical.
Vertical meaning up and down mountains.
Exactly. In the summer, when the snow in the high mountains melts, they take their animals up to graze in the high alpine pastures. Then, in the winter, when those mountains get covered in snow and it gets brutally cold, they come back down to the valleys.
And we have specific examples of this happening right here in India.
We do. The Himalayas are a classic region for transhumance. You have communities like the Gujars, the Bakarwals, the Gadis, and the Bhotiyas. These communities have been practicing this seasonal migration for centuries.
But is this lifestyle growing? Is it stable? Or is it under threat?
It is shrinking, and in some places shrinking dramatically.
And why is that? What are the pressures?
Two main reasons, according to the text. The first one is political boundaries.
Borders.
Modern nation states. A nomad doesn't really care about a line on a map between, say, Syria and Iraq. Their traditional grazing route crosses it. But the Border Patrol certainly cares.
So their movements are restricted.
Severely. And the second reason is new settlement plans. Governments, for various reasons, often try to force these nomadic populations to settle down.
Why would they do that?
Well, the stated reasons are often to provide services like education and health care. But it's also about control, about taxation, about integrating them into the formal economy.
So it's a lifestyle that's really being squeezed from all sides.
It is.
Okay, so that is the subsistence side of pastoralism. Now, let's flip the coin and compare that to commercial livestock rearing.
This is pretty much the polar opposite in almost every way. It's organized, it's capital intensive, and it's heavily influenced by Western culture and business practices.
So instead of wandering across open land, we have
Ranches, permanent, often massive, fenced-in ranches. They use scientific methods for pasture management. They might divide a huge ranch into smaller parcels or paddocks and rotate the animals through them to ensure the grass has time to grow back.
instead of a diverse mix of animals, a few goats, a camel, a dog. Commercial rearing is all about.
Specialization. It's a monoculture of animals. You rear only sheep or only cattle or maybe goats or horses, just one type.
And the goal isn't just survival for the family.
No, not at all. The goal is producing a specific product for the market. It's all about meat, wool, hides, and skin, usually for export to world markets.
So technology must play a huge role.
A massive role. The focus is on scientific breeding, genetics to get better yields, systematic disease control, veterinary services. It's essentially a factory, but the factory is a field.
They're looking for the best genetic yield, the most efficient animal.
Exactly.
And where in the world do we see this model?
The classic examples are in the temperate grasslands of the world. So New Zealand, Australia, Argentina, Uruguay, and the United States. If you're eating a steak from Argentina or wearing a sweater made of wool from New Zealand, you're consuming a product of commercial livestock rearing.
That distinction is crystal clear now. Subsistence versus commercial. Wandering versus fenced. Survival versus profit.
You've got it. That's the core difference.
All right, let's move on from animals to plants, a huge topic. Section 3, agriculture systems.
This is the heart of civilization, really. And again, like with pastoralism, we start with subsistence agriculture. This then splits into two types, primitive and intensive.
Let's take primitive subsistence first. This has another more dramatic name, right? Shifting cultivation.
Or even more dramatically, slash and burn.
The name really tells the whole story, doesn't it?
It does. You find a patch of forest, you cut down the vegetation, the trees, the bushes, you let it dry, then you burn it.
And the ash from the fire.
That's the key. The ash provides a burst of nutrients, fertilizing the soil. You can then plant crops for maybe 3 to 5 years.
Until the soil is exhausted.
Exactly. And then you abandon that plot of land, you leave it fallow, as the term goes, to let nature and the forest recover, and you move to a new spot to repeat the whole cycle.
The text lists some specific regional names for this practice, and these seem like perfect exam fodder.
Oh, absolutely. Memorize these. It's called Jhuming in Northeast India, Milpa in Central America and Mexico, and Ladang in Indonesia and Malaysia. These are classic matching questions in the making.
Okay, so that's primitive. What of the next step up, intensive subsistence?
This is what you find in places with very high population density. Think about the monsoon lands of Asia. India, China, Bangladesh, Southeast Asia.
Places with a lot of people and not a lot of land per person.
Precisely. Land holdings are tiny because they've been divided and subdivided over generations. So you have to work the land incredibly hard intensively, using a huge amount of manual labor and natural fertilizers like manure to get the maximum possible yield out of every single inch of land.
And this type of farming is usually dominated by one main crop.
Yes, wet paddy cultivation. Rice. The landscape of terraced, flooded rice paddies is the classic image of intensive subsistence agriculture.
But it's not always rice, is it?
No. In areas where the climate, relief, or soil isn't suitable for rice-drier parts of North India or Western China, for instance, the same intensive methods are used, but for other crops. Things like wheat, soybean, barley, or sorghum.
So it's the same intensity of labor and land use, just with different crops adapted to the local conditions.
Exactly. The principle is the same. Maximum output from minimum land.
Okay, now let's shift gears completely. From farming to feed your family to farming as a massive commercial enterprise. Let's talk about plantation agriculture. This has a bit of a darker history, doesn't it?
It does. You can't separate plantation agriculture from its history. The text is clear that this is largely a European colonial innovation.
Why'd they invent it?
Well, Europeans developed a taste for tropical crops, things like tea, coffee, rubber, sugarcane, bananas, cocoa. But they couldn't grow these things in the cold climates of Europe.
So they needed to source them from the tropics.
Right, so they went to their colonies in Asia, Africa, and Latin America created these massive estates or plantations, invested high amounts of capital for infrastructure and processing facilities, and used scientific methods and, crucially, cheap labor to produce these crops on an industrial scale.
When you say cheap labor, what does that mean in this context?
It often meant indentured labor, or local populations who were coerced or had little other choice. The economics of plantations were built on this imbalance of power.
So the map of plantations is essentially a map of colonialism.
It really is. The chapter gives great examples. The French established cocoa and coffee plantations in West Africa.
The British.
The British were famous for their tea gardens in India and Sri Lanka, their rubber plantations in Malaysia, and sugarcane and banana plantations in the West Indies.
The list goes on. The Spanish and Americans had coconut and sugarcane in the Philippines.
And the Dutch tried to create a monopoly on sugarcane in Indonesia. It's a story that repeats across the globe.
And we can't forget Brazil and its coffee.
No, the massive coffee plantations in Brazil are called fazendas. And what's interesting is that even today, many of them are still managed or owned by people of European descent. The legacy is long.
It's amazing when you think about it. Our breakfast table, the coffee we drink, the sugar we put in it, the banana we might eat, is a direct legacy of this colonial era.
It connects us directly to that complex and often brutal history every single morning.
Okay, next up is a very specific and much more pleasant type of agriculture, Mediterranean agriculture.
Ah, yes. This is a highly specialized form of commercial agriculture. And as the name suggests, it's found in a very particular climate zone.
So obviously around the Mediterranean Sea in southern Europe and North Africa. But where else?
It's also found in other parts of the world with that same Mediterranean climate. So Southern California, Central Chile, the southwestern part of South Africa, and southwestern Australia.
And what's the crop profile here? What are they known for?
The hallmark is citrus fruits, oranges, lemons, grapefruit. But the true specialty, the thing that defines the culture of the region, is viticulture.
Grape cultivation.
Yes. This is the wine belt of the world. The high-quality grapes go into making wine. The inferior grapes that don't make the cut are dried to become raisins and currants.
So what's the economic secret sauce here? Why is this type of agriculture so profitable?
It's all about seasonality. They have a huge market advantage because they can supply fresh fruits and vegetables to the densely populated industrial regions of Europe and North America during their winter.
Ah, so when it's freezing and snowing in London or New York.
It's sunny, and they're harvesting fresh oranges and vegetables in Spain or California. That produce commands a premium price. It's a perfect example of using a climatic advantage for economic gain.
Supply and demand at its finest. Okay, finally, in our tour of agriculture, we have market gardening and horticulture.
This is another highly specialized form. It's all about growing high-value crops, vegetables, fruits, and flowers, solely for urban markets.
So the location is key.
The location is everything. These farms are situated close to the big cities, the wealthy industrial centers, with lots of consumers willing to pay for fresh produce.
And there's a fantastic term in the chapter that I love, truck farming.
It's a great term. And just to be clear, it doesn't mean they're growing trucks on their farms.
No, definitely not.
It literally means that the farms are located one truck ride away from the city market. The distance is defined by how far a truck can drive overnight.
Why overnight?
So that produce that's picked in the evening can be on the market stalls first thing in the morning. It's all about maximizing freshness. The geography is dictated by logistics.
That's fascinating. And floriculture, what's that?
That's the flower side of horticulture.
Huh.
Growing flowers for the market. The classic example given is tulip farming in the Netherlands. It's a massive high-value industry, and those flowers are flown all over the world.
Incredible. All right, we've covered the surface of the earth. Let's go underground. Section 4, mining.
The extraction of wealth. This is really the foundation of the modern industrial age, going all the way back to the Copper Age and Bronze Age.
The text mentions two main sets of factors that determine whether mining activity actually happens in a place.
Right. You have the physical factors and the economic factors. You need both to be favorable.
So physical is the stuff there.
Pretty much. What is the size of the deposit? What is its grade, meaning the quality or concentration of the mineral? And what is the mode of occurrence? Is it deep underground or is it near the surface?
But just because it's there doesn't mean we'll mine it. That's where the economic factors come in.
Exactly. Is there demand for the mineral? Do we have the technology available to extract it efficiently? Is there capital available to build the necessary infrastructure, The roads, the railways, the processing plants.
And what about labor and transport costs?
Crucial. If labor is too expensive or it costs too much to ship the ore to market, it might not be profitable. You might find a huge deposit of gold, but if it costs $1 million to extract $1,000 worth of gold, you just leave it in the ground.
Makes sense. Now let's talk about the methods of mining. The classification seems to be based on depth.
That's right. The first method is surface mining, also known as open cast mining.
And this is?
This is the easiest and the cheapest method. It's used for minerals that lie very close to the surface. You basically just scrape away the top layer of earth, the overburden, to get at the ore. It creates those massive open pits you see in photos of mines.
Low safety costs, rapid output.
Yes, compared to the alternative.
Which is underground mining or shaft mining.
This is what you have to do when the ore lies deep below the surface. It's much more complex.
How does it work?
You have to sink vertical shafts deep into the earth. From these shafts, horizontal galleries and tunnels radiate out to reach the ore body.
And that requires a lot of specialized equipment.
A huge amount. You need lifts to transport miners and ore, powerful drills, haulage vehicles to move the rock, and, critically, massive ventilation systems to pump fresh air in and dangerous gases out.
It sounds expensive and dangerous.
It is both. The risks are enormous. You have the threat of poisonous gases, accidental fires, floods from underground water sources, and the constant danger of the tunnels caving in. The text even references the long-burning mine fires in places like Charia in India. It's a very real and persistent risk.
The text notes a really significant global shift happening in the mining industry. It says that developed nations are retreating from mining.
They are. In many developed countries, mining is becoming economically unviable.
Why?
High labor costs are a huge factor, and stricter environmental regulations and safety standards add to the expense. It becomes cheaper to import the minerals than to mine them at home.
So if they're not mining, where's the mining going?
It's shifting to the developing world, to nations in Africa, South America, and Asia.
And the logic there is the opposite.
Exactly. Labor is much cheaper, and often environmental regulations are looser or less strictly enforced. For many of these countries, the text points out that up to 50% of their export earnings can come from minerals. So they prioritize the extraction of this mineral wealth to fuel their development, often taking on the environmental and social burden that the developed world has offshored.
That is a very heavy dynamic to consider, a really important global trend.
It is.
Okay, this brings us to a crucial section for our listeners. Section 5, UPSC, Linkage, and Interdisciplinary Connections. This is where we connect the dots.
Absolutely. The whole point of the Simplified UPSC by PPP channel is to show you these chapters aren't just abstract reading material, they are answer banks for real exam questions.
So let's take a previous year question, the one on the feminization of agriculture from 2014. How does this chapter help?
It's a direct consequence of the economic activities we've been discussing.
Oh.
Think about those intensive subsistence farming regions we talked about.
High population, small land holdings.
Right. There's often not enough work or income for everyone. So the men often migrate. They move to the cities to look for red-collar jobs in construction or blue-collar jobs in factories to send cash back home.
And who is left behind to run the farm?
The women. Exactly. So agriculture, by default, becomes feminized. Women are doing the tilling, the sowing, the harvesting, in addition to all their domestic work.
So an answer to that question would need to discuss this migration pattern.
Yes, and the socio-cultural forces driving it. It changes the social dynamic of rural areas, it brings up issues of land rights for women, and it changes how we need to think about providing agricultural support and credit.
Excellent. Okay, what about the question on carrying capacity from 2015?
This one is great. The question specifically mentions Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, and Uttarakhand, the Himalayan states.
We talked about the Himalayas in the context of transhumance.
Exactly. So you have a fragile mountain ecosystem that traditionally supports pastoralism. But now you add a huge tertiary activity on top of it, tourism.
So you have the goats and the tourists competing for the same resources.
In a way, yes. The question asks about these regions reaching their ecological limits. It links directly back to how human activities, both primary and tertiary, impact the physical environment. The land can only support so many grazing animals and so many hotels and tourists before it starts to degrade.
It's about the cumulative pressure.
Precisely.
And one more, water scarcity from 2015.
This is a classic Indian paradox. The question notes that India has significant freshwater resources, yet we suffer from acute scarcity. Why?
How does this chapter explain that?
You have to connect it to intensive subsistence agriculture. We are growing water-guzzling crops, especially rice and sugarcane, in areas that are naturally dry or semi-arid like Punjab and Maharashtra.
And we're doing it using groundwater irrigation.
Exactly. We are pumping out groundwater at an unsustainable rate to grow crops that are not suited to the local climate. Our choice of primary activity, the type of crops we grow and where we grow them, is a direct cause of the resource crisis.
It connects to everything. Even the logic of the iron and steel industry that gets a brief mention in the sources links back to this.
It's a perfect example of linkages. Why are traditional integrated steel plants located where they are, like in the Chota-Nagpur Plateau?
Because that's where the raw materials are.
Exactly. Iron ore and coal are the primary materials. They're heavy and bulky. You don't want to transport them thousands of kilometers. So the location of the primary activity, the mining, dictates the location of the secondary industry, the steel plant. It's pure economic geography.
Wow. We have covered a massive amount of ground today. I mean, from the Arctic tundra with the reindeer herders all the way to the deep mines of Africa.
We really have. It's a complete tour of the world economy at its most fundamental root level.
So to summarize for everyone, we traced this incredible journey. We started with simple survival hunting and gathering.
Then we moved to the management of resources with domestication and pastoralism.
Then to the taming and industrialization of nature with different forms of agriculture, from subsistence to massive plantations.
And finally, to the deep extraction of the Earth's mineral wealth through mining.
And the big takeaway, the so what, is that primary activities are the base of the entire economic pyramid.
They absolutely are.
Yeah.
You can't have a surface economy, you can't have a digital economy without the food, the fiber, and the minerals that support it all. Understanding the shift from subsistence to commercialization helps explain global trade patterns, development disparities, and even geopolitical tensions.
Okay, so here's a final provocative thought to leave you with as you go about your day.
Let's hear it.
We talked about technology impacting these activities, synthetics replacing gathered rubber, for example. But as we look to the future, with the rise of things like lab-grown meat and vertical farming and skyscrapers.
Where you don't even need soil, you're growing lettuce under LED lights in a warehouse.
Exactly. With those technologies advancing, will the red-collar worker, the person connected to the land, eventually become obsolete? Or will the opposite happen?
What's the opposite?
Will real food grown in real soil become the ultimate luxury item? Will the authentic connection to the land become a new kind of status symbol for the ultra-wealthy?
So will red collar become the new gold collar?
That is the question. Something to think about.
It is indeed.
Okay, before you go, just a quick reminder for everyone. If you want the full notes for this deep dive and all the premium content, please check the Telegram channels. The public channel has the free notes and the PYQs we discussed.
That of private library has the organized premium notes and those all-important model mains answers. All you have to do is DM on the public channel to get access.
And please, if you can, consider supporting us on Patreon. It really does keep the lights on and allows us to keep this content flowing for you.
And of course, subscribe to Simplified UPSC by BPP on YouTube. Like this video, share it, and comment below. Let us know what you think about the future of the red-collar worker.
We'd love to hear your thoughts. We'll see you on the next deep dive.
Signing off.